Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit today about people in this world who can't handle rejection. I'm sure you can think of some people that maybe are in your life right now or you've encountered in the past, and they just cannot stand to be told no about something. And I think in one light, you could look at this as maybe like an admirable quality. This is probably a person that generally perseveres, pursues the things they want, and keeps driving after whatever those things are in life. But I do believe that there's certain instances where you're going to have to take an alternative viewpoint to this concept. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about my observations, my experience with some of these people in my life, and what is some takeaway and what can be learned from thinking about these things and how we can relate it to our own lives and why this is important to us as individuals. But I mean, let's take the case of rejection in the form of let's say it's a relationship, be it a friendship or a romantic relationship or a job pursuit or business negotiation, many various things that we're going to encounter in our lives, these types of situations. When you see these people that they just don't know how to handle rejection. They just can't be told no. It's almost like you can tell it's just such a big shot to their ego. They just can't process it in a way, and they just don't know how to handle it, and they don't know how to channel it. And one of the things that I've learned about a lot of these people and a lot of these situations is that unfortunately, they haven't quite figured out this concept of having an abundance mindset in life. Because if you stop and think about just the general semantics of any sort of fork in the road that you're going to come up to that might look like this, I mean, if somebody gets told no that really truly believes that the world is abundant and whatever it is that they're after is out there, somewhere, maybe not right at this focal moment, this focal point in time, this focal person or situation or whatever. But in the back of their minds, if they're dead set and they know that the world is full of abundance, they know that there's a billion and one other options out there. And just by virtue of the fact that you're telling them no, or the situation is turning out to be a no for them, this really just affirms that they don't have that belief about the world, and they don't have that, let's just say, some measure of self-worth to just know that they can go out and seek it and find it if this particular situation is not panning out. And that's definitely the thing that I think we all need to learn as we mature and go through life, is just, first of all, being able to handle rejection in as healthy of a manner as possible. I mean, it's never fun. Of course, it stings. It is oftentimes a letdown when you get rejected by somebody or something, but we really need to learn how to process and move on from these situations if we're going to, not waste our time in our lives here and spin our wheels and continue to go after things that just don't want us or that are never going to work out. And that's just part of learning to be efficient and powerful in life, is just getting good at moving on from those situations after the rejection has reared its head. And I want to circle back and talk about that abundance mindset sort of thing. And you might be the type of person that's listening that hasn't, maybe you've never heard this term before, you've never thought about it, or maybe right at this very moment in time, you don't believe it, deep down in your heart, for whatever reason, you're living your life in scarcity, and you're always just holding on so tightly to the things, like, whatever few things you might have in your life. And especially, it's sad when you're trying to hold on to those things that have continuously rejected you over and over again and just aren't panning out. Once again, you're wasting your time. But if that is your case, if you don't have the abundance mindset, the next logical question is, well, how do I develop this abundance mindset? And that's a very big key piece also to each and every one of us developing and becoming powerful as human beings and powerful individuals. And the way to do that, the way to acquire, develop, maintain an abundance mindset, is to enhance your self-worth. And I'm not talking about more money in your pocket. I'm not talking about, necessarily your looks or any number of attributes that most people would immediately assume to this might mean when you're talking about worth, the worth of anything or the value of anything. I'm not talking about those things. I'm just talking about you in the deepest depths of your soul and your heart. If you're convinced of what you are and the fact that you're a good, solid, valuable as an individual person, none of those other things matter. And that's just like what you have to convince yourself, at the core of your being, before you're going to be able to go out into the world and operate in this fashion, what I'm describing here, where rejections just seem to roll off your back and you get to the point where you just don't even care about them anymore. Because like I said, deep down, your self-worth, that you're a valuable person, you're a good, positive soul. From there, that the world is abundant and there's going to be a lot of other people and situations and things out there that are going to want you for what's deep down in that core that I just described. And once again, we just end up with, when you have those two pieces of mindset with you at all times, the rejections just don't matter anymore. I wrote an article about this a little while back, and it was entitled "Your Loss." And it certainly touched on this, but I wanted to circle back and talk a little bit about this. This was on my mind today because I've had a friend in my life that just could not stand for people to tell him no. And it was just kind of sad watching him struggle through some of these situations when you just know this person should have been moving on and needed to move on. But as I said, it's kind of a reflection of the deeper insides of this individual. For whatever reason, they thought that I'm sure there was some lack of self-worth that made it so that they thought they needed to just stick around and cling around to these things that were very clearly rejecting them in their life. And it's sad to watch somebody go through that, but the reality is this is a very personal journey for every single one of us. We're all, that's part of the great learning curve of life, I think, is learning our self-worth and learning your value and really just convincing yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you. It doesn't matter, like I said, those exterior factors. That is not what drives self-worth. The only thing is that you and only you, and nobody else can tell you otherwise. What you're worth. Those things in the depths of your heart, as I said. And that's a great place to get to. That's an amazing place to get to. I hope each and every person that listens to this arrives at that juncture at some time in your life. And it's a long road. It's a hard road. I think we all go through our ups and downs. We doubt ourselves. We question our self-worth. We have situations that make us feel a certain way, but it's like a coat of armor when you get to a certain point. And it of course, needless to say, it's an amazing feeling to really truly believe that about yourself. And as I said, your whole world, your whole life changes, and just the way you operate completely changes for the better and for the positive when you really adopt this. And it's hard to say it. I mean, I think, each and every one of us could kind of talk about this stuff, but there's a difference between just talking about it and really truly embodying it. And more so, like I said, really truly in the depths of yourself, believing in it. And that's like I said, I've said it a few times now, but this is one of the most important key pieces I feel about just learning to live your life and your experience of being here on the earth and all the things that you get to experience and go through to arrive at this this sort of sense about yourself. It's just, I think a large part of the reason why we're here on the earth is to prove to ourselves what we're made of, what we're worth, and this is just a piece of that. So I hope you can keep this in the back of your mind. I hope you can adopt some of these things that I'm talking about here, specifically the abundance mindset, and of course your self-worth. I hope you can develop those things or work on those things. It's personal to each and every person, and it's interesting. As I've gone through life, I've met a whole variety of people, from folks that are very, what I perceive to be at the top echelon of society, to folks that are just down, at the lower rungs with not a lot of things in their life, or what from an outside point would seem like they lack a lot. But it's very strange and very ironic. I mean, I've met some of those, let's say financially successful, or those that have climbed the ladder of society, or whatever. I've met those types of people that lack this self-worth, and they're very hollow, and they're very they just don't believe in themselves. Despite all the things they've created in their life, it's very clear that They lack that confidence. They lack the self-worth for whatever reason. They have a lot of issues. They struggle with a lot of things. And then the sharp contrast to that is I've met people that it just looks like they're just down in the dumps and like they're just living like, they're on the bottom of society. But it's like, you cross paths with people every once in a while. They're just like so damn dead set convinced on like, that what they are as a person and the fact that they are valuable and like nobody can tell them otherwise. They have like amazing self-confidence. They have charisma because of it. They have an abundance mindset. Things don't get them down. They're just amazing people. And it's really bizarre to witness that, but it once again, it paints this picture and describes what I feel like I'm trying to convey to you guys here, that it doesn't matter about the external things. It's all about the insides, and it's all about you as a person and learning to acquire that. So as I said, I hope all this stuff sticks with you. I hope that you can continue to get better at dealing with rejection. We all go through these things, every single one of us, doesn't matter who you are, but I truly hope that every single one of you is not one of those people out there that does not know how to handle rejection appropriately. And just to encapsulate the whole thing and put it in a small little package in a few amount of words, the right way to handle rejection, like 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, is to walk away, never look back, and find a better option or find something out there that's not going to reject you or that's going to pan out. That is the answer most of the time about how to handle rejection in this world and in this life. So I hope you remember that. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.